Before the first paw touched snow. Before the red scarf fluttered against the cold. Before the bells of Gruyères whispered their summons across the valley. The story had already begun. It began in a land where winter moves like a living breath. Curling around rooftops. Settling over dreams. And carrying secrets from one heart to another. Some say that, on certain nights, when the moon hangs low above the castle, and the mountains fall into a hush, the air itself listens, waiting for a tale worthy of being remembered. And on one such night, a small family of shepherds, a mother and her 2 tiny pups, wrapped in scarves the color of courage, stepped unknowingly toward their destiny. They did not seek adventure. They did not chase legends. They simply followed warmth where they could find it, and safety where the snow allowed. But winter had chosen them. Magic had marked their path. And far above, in the silent towers of Gruyères, a story stirred. A story older than any human memory, yet tender enough to rest in the paws of the smallest pup. So draw closer now. The night is deep, the wind is soft, and the first light of dawn has not yet touched the hills. This is where our tale begins. With a window glowing red in the dark. A family curled together against the cold. And a whisper of wonder drifting through the snow. Waiting to change everything. Night still clings to the rooftops of Gruyères. The cobblestones glisten, damp with mist, whispering beneath the slow breath of winter. Beyond the valley, the mountains keep watch, pale silhouettes rising from shadow, crowned with frost. And there, beneath a red-tinted window, rests a family. A Belle Petite Famille, one steadfast German shepherd, and her 2 tiny pups. They lie close, paws touching, scarves curled like ribbons of warmth against the cold stone floor. The mother's eyes half open, half dreaming. Her breath rises in soft clouds. She listens, to the heartbeat of the town before it wakes, to the far hum of bells that sleep inside the castle walls. The pups twitch in their dreams, one whimpers, chasing something unseen. The other nuzzles closer, burying his nose in the red scarf that smells of safety, of home. Snowflakes drift through the cracked window pane, landing on their fur, melting, glimmering, gone. Somewhere, a rooster calls, distant, uncertain. The mist lifts for a heartbeat. Light slips through the clouds, faint, pink, hesitant. And in that fragile dawn, something stirs. Not in the streets, not in the castle, but in the air itself, a quiet pulse, like destiny drawing breath. The mother lifts her head. Her gaze drifts toward the hill, where the castle waits, wrapped in morning silence. She does not yet know what awaits her there. But the world is changing. And soon, even the smallest hearts will hear it. Morning seeps through the old chalet like a sigh. The light is thin, filtered through frost and smoke, painting everything in silver hush. Inside, warmth flickers from a fading hearth. The scent of snow drifts through the cracks in the wood. Here, the mother shepherd moves. Slow, steady, graceful. Her paws sweep across the floorboards, pushing aside the dusting of fallen snow. No broom. No words. Only motion, instinctive, rhythmic, the language of care. Her 2 pups tumble through the small space, chasing each other in bright, clumsy circles. Their laughter is not sound, but motion, tails thumping, paws skidding, ears flopping. Each bark is a spark that breaks the quiet. The scarf around their necks sways with every leap, knitted threads catching light, a splash of red in a room of grey. Outside, the wind hums through the chimney, low, lonely, almost like a song. The mother pauses. She watches her pups, eyes soft, yet shadowed by something unspoken. The fire crackles. A log shifts. Ash falls in slow spirals, like snow learning to forget its shape. This house holds love, but also memory. Once, others lived here, the faint scent of hands, of meals shared, of voices that no longer echo. Now, only the gentle scrape of paws remains. Still, the mother works, brushing away cold, keeping warmth alive, one careful movement at a time. The pups pause, panting, watching her, as if sensing that what she guards is more than a home. A heartbeat later, they press close to her side. 3 bodies, 1 warmth. The world outside is white and wide, but here, inside this house of ashes, love endures. The day unfolds in stillness. Gruyères lies beneath a veil of frost, rooftops gleaming, windows breathing pale smoke into the sky. From far above, the castle crowns the hill, its towers dusted white, its bells asleep in silence. Then, a sound. A single note breaks the hush. Deep. Resonant. The bell tolls from the castle tower, once, twice, rolling through the cold air like a heartbeat too large for the valley. It echoes across rooftops, down narrow lanes, through the snow-filled square, until it finds them. The mother's ears lift. Her body stills, every muscle listening. The pups freeze mid-play, heads tilting, noses twitching. Something rides the wind, not just sound, but scent, old stone, candle wax, melting snow, and something else, something warm. The mother steps toward the door. Her paws press into the thin blanket of snow that's drifted inside overnight. The pups follow, tails trembling with excitement. Beyond the threshold, the world gleams, a field of white that leads up, toward the waiting towers. Another bell. Then another, higher, faster, until the whole valley seems to hum. The castle is calling. The mother glances once at her home, at the ashes, the quiet hearth, the place that held them safe. Then she turns toward the sound. Snow crunches softly beneath their paws as they begin to climb. 3 red scarves flash against the pale slope. Tiny prints trail behind them, already filling with falling flakes. The wind shifts, carrying the faintest trace of cheese and spice from the town, a whisper of fondue, of warmth, of stories not yet told. And through that whisper, destiny murmurs again. Low and certain. Come. Night settles again, soft as wool. Inside the old chalet, the fire hums, a low, golden murmur. Cheese melts in the fondue pot, sending ribbons of scent through the room, warm, rich, alive. The air glows the color of candlelight and quiet joy. The mother shepherd lies near the hearth, her body curved protectively around her 2 pups. Their breathing is slow, steady, a lullaby written in fur and heartbeats. Outside, snow whispers against the window, trying to listen in. The pups dream. Not of food, nor chase, but of movement, of circles and light. In their sleep, their paws twitch, their tails sway. They are dancing, not like humans, but in the way only young dogs can, bounding through air, weightless, joyful. The scarf around their necks glows in the firelight, red turning to gold, gold to amber, amber to dusk. The flames reflect in their coats, painting them in stories older than words. For a moment, the mother watches, eyes half-lidded, lost between wakefulness and peace. Her own dream rises, quiet as breath. The sound of bells, the shimmer of castle glass, the promise of something just beyond reach. The fondue bubbles softly. A log sighs, collapsing into embers. The room smells of warmth and memory, of all the things winter tries to take, but never can. Outside, the castle sleeps beneath the stars. But inside this tiny home, 3 red scarves flicker with life. Small flames in the dark, dreaming of tomorrow's light. The fire has dimmed. Only embers remain, breathing faint red light across the stone floor. The room feels smaller now, quieter, as if the night itself is listening. The pups stir in their sleep. One whimpers, sensing something that the waking world has not yet named. The mother raises her head, ears high, eyes sharp, a guardian caught between dream and warning. Then, a sound. A hinge creaks. A draft slips through the cracks of the door. And in the red reflection of the window glass, a silhouette appears. Tall. Human. A woman's figure, thin, angular, wrapped in the cold hush of authority. Her shadow stretches across the floorboards like spilled ink. She moves without a word. Her hand, pale, deliberate, reaches for the shutters. With one swift motion, she closes them. The world beyond, the stars, the snow, the hope, vanish behind the wood. The fire flinches. Darkness folds into the room, heavy and grey. Only the scarves remain, bright red, defiant, glowing against the dim. The mother lowers her gaze, pressing closer to her pups. Her breath trembles but holds. The pups sense her stillness and curl into her warmth, two small sparks of courage in the gathering dark. The woman's footsteps fade, slow and echoing, up the stair. The silence that follows feels endless. For a long while, no one moves. Only the faint crackle of dying embers dares to speak. And even that, softly, as if afraid to wake the shadows. Yet in that silence, the red scarves gleam. Tiny, flickering promises that light will return. The night has grown deep, thick with quiet, heavy with waiting. The shutters stay closed, but moonlight sneaks through the cracks, thin silver threads that weave across the floor. Ash glows in the hearth, faint as a heartbeat that refuses to fade. The mother lies awake. Her pups sleep, huddled tight against her side, small warmths in the chill. She listens to the world outside, the wind brushing the shutters, the slow creak of timbers, the sigh of the mountain in its dreams. Then, a flicker. A movement near the table. So soft, it could be imagination. The mother's ears lift. Out from the shadow hops a tiny shape, white as the snow beyond the walls. A hare. Its fur glows faintly, not with light, but with kindness. It pauses beside a fallen crumb of bread, nose twitching, eyes bright as frost stars. For a heartbeat, the room feels different, lighter, gentler, touched by something unseen. The mother does not move. She only watches, breath slow, heart steady. The hare tilts its head, studying her. Then, with a small, knowing nod, it hops closer, silent as a wish. It does not fear. It belongs. The pups stir and blink, sleepy and dazzled by the shimmer that now dances on the walls. They do not bark. They simply gaze, wide-eyed, tails thumping once in quiet joy. The hare sits at the edge of the firelight. Snow dusts its fur, and in its eyes glows a promise older than winter. For the first time since the shutters closed, the room feels alive again. As if Gruyères itself has sent a messenger of grace. Outside, the wind softens. Inside, the ashes breathe gold. And in the silence between them, something begins. Magic. The clock in the tower strikes midnight. Its echo travels through the valley like a slow wave, one note, then another, fading into the hush of falling snow. Inside the little chalet, all is still. The pups watch the white hare, eyes gleaming in the emberlight. The mother does not move, only her breath trembles, steady and soft, as the world holds its breath beside her. The hare lifts its tiny paw. And the air changes. Snow outside begins to swirl, not wildly, but in perfect circles, as if dancing to a sound too gentle for human ears. The flame in the hearth bends, flickering sideways, painting the walls in ribbons of gold and silver. Then, a hush. A single heartbeat of silence. The air shimmers. From that shimmer, threads of frost weave through light, twisting, folding, spinning like silk in winter's hands. When the glow fades, something lies upon the floor. 4 small boots. Soft as breath, shaped to fit tiny paws. They gleam faintly, crimson rose touched with silver, the color of courage wrapped in snow. The pups inch closer, hesitant. They nudge one boot, then another. Warmth greets them, a warmth not of fire, but of kindness. The mother watches as they slip their paws inside. The fabric bends and yields, perfect, natural, as if it had always belonged to them. The pups lift their feet, step once, twice, and gasp. The floor no longer feels cold. The boots whisper against the wood, light as falling feathers. The red of their scarves glows brighter, as though joy itself has found its twin. The hare nods once, small, proud, silent. Then it turns toward the door, leaving tiny prints that sparkle before fading into the dark. The mother lowers her head in quiet gratitude. The pups press close, trembling with wonder. Outside, the snow has stopped. Only moonlight remains, a soft, silver blessing on the little house of Gruyères. The night breathes in silver. Gruyères lies asleep beneath its blanket of snow, roofs glittering, chimneys sighing, every window holding a secret glow. Far above, the castle waits, tall, timeless, haloed by lanterns that flicker like patient stars. From the shadowed lane below, 3 figures emerge. A mother. 2 pups. Their red scarves ripple in the moonlight, ribbons of warmth cutting through the frost. The pups trot close to her sides, their new boots whispering softly against the frozen path. Each step leaves a glowing print, faint, fleeting, like the heartbeat of magic fading into snow. The mother moves with purpose, head high, eyes fixed on the winding road ahead. The pups glance toward the castle, their tails wagging in rhythm with the wind. Between their breaths, laughter stirs, not loud, not wild, but pure. The kind that belongs only to those who believe in what they cannot yet name. Lanterns sway above the street, their light catching on the scarves, red turning to gold, gold to fire. The world feels awake now, listening. The snow crunches, the air hums, and the stars seem to follow their climb. They pass the last houses of the village, the scent of cheese and hearth smoke trailing after them like memory. Ahead, the hill steepens, a path of stone and ice winding toward the gate. The mother pauses once, looks back. Below, Gruyères glows like a dream half remembered. Above, the castle calls, its windows glinting like watchful eyes. She steps forward. The pups follow, steady, proud, unafraid. Together they climb, 3 sparks of red and courage, carrying the warmth of the hare's gift into the cold heart of the night. And as they rise, the bells stir once more, faint, distant, but full of promise. The great doors of Gruyères castle stand open, their hinges sighing as if the night itself is invited in. Warmth spills out, golden alive, painting the snow in ripples of light. Music drifts through the air, violins and laughter, 1,000 soft notes spinning like snowflakes made of sound. From the threshold, the mother shepherd pauses. Behind her, the pups peer past her legs, wide-eyed, their scarves bright against the marble glow. They do not belong here, and yet, somehow, they do. Inside, the grand hall shimmers. Candlelight dances across tall arches. The chandeliers blaze with crystal fire. Humans in velvet and silk move like rivers of color, their voices rising and falling in waves of joy. And then, a hush. It starts softly, like the turning of a page. Heads lift. Eyes turn. At the doorway, 3 figures stand, framed in light and snow. The mother steps forward, paws silent against the floor. Her fur gleams black and tan beneath the glow, her red scarf flowing like a banner of heart and courage. The pups follow, side by side, their boots glimmering faintly with frostlight. The crowd parts, not in fear, but in wonder. The musicians falter, boughs hovering mid-air. Even the fire in the great hearth seems to lean closer, listening. No one speaks. No one dares to. For in that moment, they see not animals, but grace. The kind born of love, of loyalty, of journeys made through snow and shadow. The mother bows her head. The pups mimic her, tails flicking in perfect unison. And then, a sound, soft and reverent, as the violins begin again. Slow. Tender. A waltz of candlelight and breath. The air trembles with magic. And the family of red scarves steps into the glow. Then, the music blooms. The mother shepherd moves first, a slow circle, her steps steady and sure. Her scarf unfurls behind her, catching the candlelight, painting the air in ribbons of red. The pups watch, entranced, until one, braver, mimics her turn. Then the other follows, clumsy but bright, their laughter rippling through the hall like bells of glass. The crowd smiles. Someone claps softly. And the music rises, sweeping, swirling, alive. Soon the mother and her pups are no longer alone. A little girl spins beside them, her silver dress catching their red. A boy bows deeply to one of the pups, and they dance. Dogs and children, fur and fabric, heart and laughter, all turning together in one circle of warmth. Above, the chandeliers shimmer like constellations. Below, their shadows twine and spin, a living pattern on the marble floor. For a moment, there is no difference between them. No boundary, no rule, no fear. Just the rhythm, soft and certain, and the scarves flowing like flames in the winter air. The mother looks down at her pups. Their paws glide, their eyes shine, their joy is whole. And something deep inside her softens, pride, peace, and a quiet kind of awe. The music slows. The circle tightens. And as the final note fades, the pups stop, breathless, glowing, alive. Applause swells like thunder, warm and wild. The pups blink, surprised, then beam. The mother bows. The red scarves shimmer. And somewhere, far away, the bells of Gruyères answer, clear and golden, ringing through the snowy night. The violins rose in a bright, swirling crescendo. A final golden breath before the world changed. Beyond the stained glass windows, the night convulsed. A low rumble rolled across the towers, as if the mountains themselves drew in a sharp, frozen breath. Then, the first strike. A blast of wind slammed against the high balconies, shuddering the castle from stone to spine. Snow burst through the arches in wild spirals, scattering petals, ribbons, and warmth alike. The candles trembled. The silk banners snapped like frightened birds. And the grand hall, moments ago a cradle of light and laughter, stood defenseless beneath winter's sudden fury. The mother shepherd froze. Her ears lifted, every muscle tuned to the warning hidden in the wind. A deep instinct rose in her, older than the castle walls. Older than music, older than fear. The pups felt it too. They pressed to her sides, small bodies quivering. Their red scarves fluttering in the storm's breath. Like sparks clinging to the edges of a dying fire. Another gust struck. Harder, sharper, cold enough to sting the stone itself. Doors groaned on their hinges. The windows moaned under the weight of gathering snow. The music faltered. A violin string snapped with a cry. Shadows pitched and lurched as torches guttered low. That was enough. With a steady, commanding sweep of her head, the mother shepherd turned toward the exit. A single shape of calm within the tumbling storm. The pups followed instantly, paws skidding on marble. Their breath quick and bright in the dimming hall. They slipped through a curtain that whipped like a torn sail, racing down the corridor as winter chased at their heels. Snow swirled around their legs, bitter and blinding. But the mother shepherd kept them close, guiding them with firm touches, steady steps, unbroken focus. The castle doors boomed shut behind them. As the blizzard claimed the night in full, wind roared down the hillside. Ice stung the air like shattered glass. Still, the little family pushed forward. 3 shapes bound by warmth and will. Fleeing into a world swallowed by white. Only the safety of the hall. Only the illusion of calm. Only the tender hush of their moment of joy. The storm carried the rest away. Night swallowed the hillside in a roar of white. The storm that struck the castle now tore down the slopes, wrapping the world in frantic spirals of snow and wind. The mother shepherd led the way. A dark, steady silhouette against the blizzard's rage. Her red scarf streaming behind her like a lone streak of fire. The pups hurried close at her heels. Their tiny paw prints vanished the moment they touched the ground. Claimed instantly by drifting snow. Each breath came out in quick bursts of mist. Fluttering and fragile in the storm-lit dark. The wind pushed them sideways. Ice stung their faces. Snow hammered the earth so fiercely. It seemed the sky had shattered into 1,000 white shards. But still they ran. Down the stone staircase. Across the torchlit landing. Into the open paths where shadows twisted like broken branches. The mother paused only once. Just long enough to nudge the closer pup forward. Guiding his footing on the slick ground. He scrambled, regained balance. And together they pressed on, weaving through the swirling white. Then, in the chaos, it happened. A hard gust struck from the left. Sudden, sharp, powerful enough to lift the smallest pup. An inch off her paws. She stumbled, legs splaying, body skidding across the icy slope. Her mother spun back to her instantly, shouldering the wind to shield her. But in that slip, that single heartbeat of imbalance, one crimson rose boot loosened around her ankle. It slid free. Soft. Silent. And vanished into the drift behind them. The pup didn't notice. The mother didn't look back. Survival allowed no pause. No breath longer than the next step forward. The lost boot lay alone in the snow, glimmering faintly with silver frost beneath a wavering torch. A small miracle left behind. A whisper of the hare's magic cooling in the wind. Ahead, the little family ran into the storm. 3 shadows swallowed by white. Carried onward by instinct, courage. And the single hope of reaching home. Dawn rose slowly over Gruyères. As if the sun itself were reluctant to disturb the snow. Still settling from the night's great storm. The village lay wrapped in a soft hush. Chimneys exhaling thin ribbons of warmth. Cafes stirring awake behind frost-kissed windows. And the cobblestones glowing faintly beneath the morning light. And through this quiet world walked a solitary figure. A male German shepherd, strong, gentle. With a coat brushed by the pale gold of daybreak. His breath steamed in soft plumes as he moved. Steady and deliberate, along the winding street. Between his teeth he carried a single object. Held with the careful reverence of something precious. A small crimson rose boot. Its silver frost shimmer catching the first rays of the sun. He had found it only moments after the storm had calmed. Half buried in snow, still warm with the memory of tiny paws. And now, guided by instinct and a quiet sense of purpose, he searched for the family that had lost it. He trotted past the Fondue cafes, their windows glowing buttery gold. As the first pots warmed for the day, he paused at a doorway where last night's lantern still flickered. Its light reflected deep in his dark, perceptive eyes. Further along, he passed the familiar red-lit windows. Each one casting warm pools of color across the snow. Like scattered embers waiting to be gathered again. He sniffed the air. Traces of them lingered. Faint, delicate, swept thin by the storm. Yet unmistakably there. He followed the scent. Down narrow alleys softened by drifts of white. Over small bridges where the stream murmured beneath ice. Past quiet doorsteps brushed clean by early risers, who whispered greetings as he passed, recognizing the quiet nobility in his search. The boot swung gently from his mouth. Light as a memory. Certain as a promise. In every movement, there was patience. In every breath, hope. For he knew. Somewhere in this snow-dusted village, a frightened little family waited for morning. And he would not rest until he brought the missing piece of their magic back where it belonged. The sun had climbed just high enough to lay a pale gold shimmer across the rooftops of Gruyères, when the male shepherd finally paused. Before him stood a familiar chalet, its wood worn smooth by years of winter, its stones warmed by the first breath of morning. And there, cast across the snow, glowed the unmistakable reflection of the red-tinted window. A window he had passed many times. A window that had always reminded him of embers in a hearth, steady, gentle, welcoming. Today, that glow felt different, as if it were calling. He stepped closer, his paws sinking softly into the drift. The boot hung gently from his mouth, its frostlit fibers catching the warm tint of the window's glass, until it looked almost aflame with dawn. He lifted his head, peered inside, and there, curled beside the cooling hearth, wrapped in their red scarves and exhaustion, was the little family. The mother lay first, eyes closed, chest rising and falling with slow, protective breaths. Her body curved around the two pups, like a shelter the storm could not break. The pups themselves slept tangled together, their tiny bodies touching, paws twitching from dreams too deep and sweet to interrupt. Relief washed through him. Quiet, steady, warm. He exhaled softly, a breath that fogged the glass in a small, fleeting circle. Then, with a gentleness that seemed almost ceremonial, he lowered his head and placed the tiny crimson rose boot on the doorstep beneath the red window. Not loudly, not to wake them, just close enough that the pup who had lost it would find it the moment morning stirred them awake. A small, perfect offering. A returning of magic to where magic belonged. For a moment the shepherd lingered, watching the peaceful rise and fall of the little family's breath. Recognition warmed his chest. A wordless knowing. A connection formed beneath the weight of snow and silence. Then he stepped back, letting the hush of the morning hold them. Above him, the castle tower chimed a soft hour, its bells gentle as lullabies. And beneath the red window, the lost boot waited, a tiny ember of hope, ready to shine again. Morning has fully risen over Gruyères, laying warm gold over the rooftops and drifting snow. Inside the quiet home, the mother shepherd wakes. The hearth glows low, the pups curled softly against her. Beside them, the little red boot, carefully placed, unmistakably returned. She lowers her nose to it. A familiar scent lingers. Kind. Steady. The one who helped them through the storm. With a gentle nudge to her pups, she follows the faint trail out into the village square. Under the tall Gruyères clock tower, snow spirals in slow, silver coils. There, waiting in the open light, stands the male shepherd. He does not step forward. He does not call out. He simply watches. Hopeful, relieved. Grateful that they are safe. The pups reach him first. Tiny paws pattering, tails whipping in bright curls of joy. They sniff his muzzle, his paws. as if greeting someone long expected. The mother shepherd follows, her steps calm and unhurried. When she lifts her eyes to his, something quiet settles between them. Recognition, gratitude, and the soft beginning of belonging. Above them, the tower bells begin to ring, their notes warm and low, as though offering a blessing to this first true meeting. And as the last chime fades into the morning air, the small family and the once lonely shepherd turn together toward the red window on the hill. Their paths no longer separate, but gently joined. Evening settles over Gruyères once more, painting the snow in soft rose and gold. Inside the familiar home with the red-tinted window, warmth glows like a small sunrise. The scent of melted cheese drifts through the air, rich and welcoming. The mother shepherd rests by the hearth, her pups tumbling in playful circles nearby. Their laughter, light, breathy, bright, fills every corner of the room. And beside them now sits the male shepherd, no longer a stranger at the window, no longer wandering alone through winter paths. He leans close to the fire's glow, eyes soft, posture gentle, as the pups climb over his paws as if he had always belonged there. The mother shepherd watches him, a quiet calm in her gaze. Recognition deepened into trust, trust warmed into welcome. Outside, snowflakes drift past the red glass, catching the firelight so they sparkle, like tiny stars joining the celebration. Inside, fondue bubbles in its little pot, shared between them. A feast of warmth, of safety, of joy, marking the moment a lonely winter ended, and a new family quietly, fully, beautifully became whole. Outside, the world glows fresh and quiet. A winter morning breathing gently over Gruyères. The pups bound into the yard, their tiny paws scattering powdery snow, like handfuls of shimmering dust. Ahead of them, the white hare. No spells now, no swirling stormlight. Only a playful flick of its cotton tail, as it darts between drifts. The pups squeal with delight, chasing its soft footprints, their laughter rising like bells in the cold air. The red scarf flutters behind them, knitted threads catching the breeze. Not silk, not enchanted, but something far better. A symbol of care freely given, of grace earned through kindness. The mother shepherd watches from nearby, warm pride in her eyes. The male shepherd stands beside her, their shoulders almost touching, as they share the quiet joy of ordinary magic returning to their days. Snowflakes drift lazily around them, falling on fur, on laughter, on love. A simple winter morning, made wondrous by the family it now holds. As sunset paints the castle gold, the village exhales into evening. Soft lights blooming in windows, shadows stretching long and calm across the snow. On the hill, the little family gathers once more. Beneath the red-tinted window, the hearth flickers behind the glass, casting warm ripples of light over their fur. The pups curl together, tired from play, their breaths tiny clouds in the dusk. The white hare sits nearby, ears tall, as if listening to the settling magic of the hour. The mother shepherd rests close, her muzzle brushing the pups' crowns, with slow, tender kisses. And beside her, the male shepherd lies quietly. No distance now, no uncertainty, only the soft, certain shape of belonging. The bells of Gruyères chime one final time, their notes drifting down the slope, like golden feathers on the wind. The castle glows, the snow glimmers, and wrapped in the fading light, the little family, once scattered by storm, Now hold steady, warm, and whole. For in this small corner of winter, under a sky turning rose and honey, they have found not just shelter, but one another. And the tale, like the day, folds gently into peace. And so, in the quiet heart of Gruyères, where the rooftops wear snow like crowns, and the castle keeps watch over every dream, a small family found its way home. Not through spells, or grand destinies, or moonlit miracles, but through moments gentle as snowfall, and kindness shared like warmth from a hearth. The white hare still wanders the hills at dusk, leaving tiny trails of wonder behind it. The red window still glows each evening, a promise of comfort for anyone who passes by. And if you listen closely, very closely, you might hear laughter drifting from that hill, paws skittering over wood floors, the soft murmur of shepherds settling in for the night. For winter holds many stories, but the most magical ones aren't the ones shouted from towers or written in ancient books. They're the ones curled quietly in warm corners of ordinary days, where a lost boot, a brave pup, and a wandering heart can change everything. And until the bells ring again, and another tale finds its way to your ears, may your path be gentle, your hearth be warm, and your winter always hold a little bit of magic.